And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Twist News. My name is Don Pravda.
And I'm Erika Grey.
And welcome to a very special segment in that Erika and I have traveled into Lower Manhattan to the Jewish History Museum to see the Anne Frank exhibit. It's an extremely powerful show, and we're going to be telling you about it today.
That was my first time at the museum. I didn't even know there was a museum until some time ago that dealt with Jewish history.
An extraordinary amount of time and effort, and I understand years of planning went into this to bring the exhibit from Holland to the United States and, of course, to the History Museum. It was very well attended. It's sold out every day, and it's very memorable.
There was an exhibit in Florida that you saw some years back. How did this exhibit compare to the previous one you saw?
Well, this one has more of the actual artifacts, the papers, the dynamic from Holland that has been brought to the United States. Many years ago, it was mainly photos and newspaper articles that were placed in displays about Anne Frank, and I had the pleasure of meeting the woman who saved her life at the time, but couldn't save her from being taken away, and that was Mip Geese. And I met Mip, her closest friend, when she was 88 years old in Florida, and Mip is featured in the exhibit.
What I liked about the exhibit is it takes you on a journey, kind of similar a little bit to when we saw the Nova Film Festival exhibit, where it takes you on the journey. But it was very effective, going from the history of the family, the marriage, the birth of the children, their life, their move to Amsterdam, to the climate that was in Germany, that was spreading through the various nations, eventually to Amsterdam.
Yes, the journey where they were really from was from Frankfurt, Germany, and they moved out of necessity to Holland because of anti-Semitic incidents and, of course, the rise of Hitler. That will summarize one's Jewish experience, and that's quite a preemptor to leaving your nation. I want to remind people that Otto Frank Anne's father was a soldier in World War I. He was a very decent citizen. He served in the military. He and his wife were very good people, and they had to leave, and eventually, of course, Anne, her sister, and many others perished in Buchenwald concentration camp.
But how about how effective it was? They actually had toys that she played with, and they had different artifacts that was pretty surprising that they were able to get a hold of those things. The original letters,
pads and books, even a little bit of art was there.
And also from the school, from Margot's school, report card. But I thought also, it builds to going into the secret annex. And it was a recreation right down to the minute detail. And what was your impression, Don, when you went into the recreation of the secret annex?
Well, you see this family that had a lot in Frankfurt, Germany. They had very nice, by the way, dishes were on display.
Oh, yes, I forgot about those.
The dishes, the silverware, the tablecloths, the clothing that the Franks have been photographed in shows a kind of a middle, upper class kind of family. And then upon his company, he's losing his job and his position. Then the poverty is hitting, and then fear, and then the move to Holland where the world knows them. And I emphasize again, they're not Hollanders, they're actually from Germany originally.
Well, they even had the product that his company had made. And then, of course, they said how it was individuals within his company that helped them hide. But I think what I liked about the recreation of the secret annex is from reading the book and hearing the different stories, you always got a mental picture.
Yes.
But what was so great for me was the misconceptions in my own mental picture. And when you actually see the layout, and there was a point of almost feeling like you were there. It was very effective, Don.
Very powerful.
Very effective.
Very sad story. However, I'd like to inform the public that for somebody like myself, born into a Jewish family, you know very early when you're a child, like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, names like this. Among the females, Sarah, in English, Rebecca, and the prophetess Deborah. But in this particular case, I have known the Anne Frank name since I'm probably 4 years old. The name is of mythic proportion, and that's part of the wonder of Anne Frank, that beautiful little girl who was born in 1929, and her journey.
What was also effective was after you come out of the secret annex, it shows you more. It shows you the after story when Otto learned that his family had been murdered, and the letters, the actual letters he wrote. I found it also effective that the very end showed the movies that were made about the story, the actual posters, and then this cases of the original books in 70 different languages.
Yes.
Just
isn't it amazing?
As like a finale of how widespread the story went. How did that impact you, Don, seeing all of those books in all of the different languages?
It is Mipp who gave the diary to Otto Frank and handed it over to him, and it's become a legend. It's just an incredible story that is told and retold. It is read by children all over the world. And that is part of this incredible story of Anne Frank. And I urge people to go to the Jewish History Museum at 15 West 16th Street in Manhattan.
Yes, it was excellent, excellent. And lots of information. I like that they have a number, and you have a little gadget, and you put it to the number, and it vibrates, and then it starts where you can hear the narration, and it tells the story, and then you're looking at the different artifacts. It was very effective. And so definitely recommend it. It's, 13 weeks?
That's my
already now.
understanding,
We're into a couple of those weeks. It is excellent. And one last thing, I wrote a book on anti-Semitism, and
That's
you're
right.
featured in the book, Don.
Well, thank you.
You inspired me on the journey of the horrors of anti-Semitism, how widespread it really is, encountering it in geopolitics. So I would encourage you to read my book. Don is mentioned in the book.
Absolutely.
And definitely go see the Anne Frank exhibit. Any final words, Don?
Well, it's a story of life and death. Anne perished in Buchenwald concentration camp as a teenager, and it is not something to be very happy about. It's a terribly sad story. However, we will love her eternally. And there's no question about that.
Absolutely, definitely. And it's very sad that she wanted to be this great writer. And she actually became a great writer after her death. And her book has had such a great impact that she could never have imagined. Her diary.
She was a thoughtful girl. Meep told me personally she was so full of life, and she was a joy to be around. And maybe that's the way we will remember her this evening. The joy of Anne Frank, her humor. And thank you, everybody. And thank you for listening. And I hope you'll continue to watch the Twist News. I'm Don Pravda, and I say tonight, shalom, 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 and wish you a lot of mazal, luck, and simcha, joy.
And I'm Erika Grey, and see you next time on the Twist News.